for coming. As you can see, this meeting is being recorded. And my name is Janet DiVincenzo. I'm an instructional designer in the Division of Teaching Excellence and Innovation. And in that capacity, I am assigned to the School of Social Science to support their faculty in the remote and online arena. In that capacity, I've gotten to know Jonathan and Christine, our speakers today, and this is one in a series of webinars that we have been holding throughout the pandemic to just kind of introduce different technologies and pedagogies to the community. So thank you all for joining. Appreciate your coming today. So our speakers today, I'd like to introduce, first of all, Jonathan Louie. He's a lecturer in the School of Social Sciences. He is a stats wizard. He teaches many hundreds of students every year, maybe even 4 digits. I don't know, is it up to 1,000? Probably. He teaches the statistics and probability series 1, 2, and 3. So that's 10A, 10B, 10C. And so he's with, that's a required sequence for social science majors. And so he's with his students for 3 quarters. So that's quite an engagement there. And then we also have Christine Tomlinson, also a lecturer in social sciences. She teaches a number of courses, including American culture, computational research, and social science, and then 3 different video game courses. I didn't realize social science had 3 video game courses, but we do. Intro to video gaming, video games and society, and gender in video games. So you can probably deduce from that that she is also a video gamer herself. And so she brings that perspective to us today as well. So feel free to use the chat, raise your hand. The whole business of participation is encouraged here. And I'm going to turn it over to you, Jonathan, to really introduce us to Discord and tell us sort of how you've used it. And I know you've got some slides to share with us so we can actually kind of see it. And yeah, and then Christine, you'll just sort of pop in there, and looking forward to the conversation that the 2 of you might have about your usage of Discord in your classes. So take it away, Jonathan.
Thanks, Janet. I'm Jonathan, and I thought I'd begin by talking about what a Discord is. And a Discord is a server, essentially a website. It's also an app where you can set up multiple chat rooms for students, not only text chat rooms, but also voice chat rooms. And it's primarily used by gamers, but it's finding its way into academia. And so one of the reasons why I started using a Discord server is back when the pandemic hit and we went into remote learning. One of my concerns, along with shifting all my material to cater to like an online class, is how do I maintain that sort of community within a classroom? I have the good fortune of, as Janet mentioned, having the same students from fall up until June. So back when we were in person, there was time to build this sort of rapport with the students. And so I was, and I recognize how important something like that is, especially when students are learning statistics. So I adopted a Discord server to hopefully maintain and build on that sort of student camaraderie and that connection that you could have with students that you would normally have in an in-person class. Oh, Christine, why do you use Discord?
Yeah, so very similar reasons for me. It became obvious when the pandemic started that a lot of students were flocking to Discord themselves and sort of starting Discords, trying to find other people in the class that had started one so that they could join and talk to other students. So that was a big part of why I decided to try to adopt it and see how I could use it in the class and maybe grant something to the students that they were seeking out themselves that maybe they felt was missing in the remote format. So it's been really great, like you've stated, with making the community and letting students get to know each other in a way that's a little bit less, I guess you could say, formal when compared to something like the discussions in Canvas. So that's been a nice addition to the classes.
Yeah, that's why this webinar is called, "Is there a Discord in your class?" There likely is. Because whether or not there is a Discord, whether or not you're aware of it, students set up their own Discords. And as Christine mentioned, I much rather be I much rather have oversight on what's going on in this Discord. Now, setting up your own Discord doesn't stop students from setting up their own sort of private Discord on their own, but you need to, if you do set up a Discord for your class, you need to bring value to it. You can't just set it up and forget about it. Rest of course, you need to be an active member on this Discord. So if you are a student and I sent you an invite to our class Discord, what might it look like? So the following slides are from the Discord I currently have for my students that started way back in fall. And we blurred out the names, but we can see how this Discord is set up. So if you're a student, you received a message about a class Discord. The first thing you would do is you would pick a role. We have it set up. So before students can see any of the chat rooms that we have set up, students need to select a role. And by having students select a role, it limits how much power they have within the Discord. Right? They can't set up their own sort of chat rooms. They can't ban people. They can't, kick people out. So the way I have it set up right now is there's a general student role. So if they respond to this post with I guess it's a happy face with a tongue sticking out, then they're a student and they have a student role. And if a student feels that they're comfortable with the material, they respond with a heart eyes emoji, and they are labeled a tutor. And on the right over here, you'd see the students that are active. And if a tutor is active, you would see them on a list right over here. I don't know if you have any different roles set up, Christine, for your.
For mine, it is usually less necessary. So I don't have roles currently, but I can see ways that I could integrate it into the class in unique ways for the gaming course.
Yeah, I've set up roles for my TAs, so they have more privileges in the Discord, along with my LARC tutor has a role. And so when students log in, they can see if a TA is currently in the Discord, if the LARC tutor is there. And so this would be the first thing that students do. They don't have access to any of the chat rooms until they pick a role. Something I like to do with my my Discord is I have this chat room called or this text channel called Main Office, and I keep a lesson diary in this chat room. Students aren't allowed to post here, but they could view it. And so after each teaching day, I would go on here and I would kind of give a brief synopsis of what each lesson is about. That way, when students are doing homework or they're prepping, they could always go back here and refer, when did we talk about this material again? You just scroll through here. And and check that out. So it's just kind of what I call a lesson diary. Okay, so right here, as I mentioned, on the left, we see the different channels, and I thought we'd kind of go through some of them. All right, so here's the sort of general discussion about the course material channel, where students just talk about the material we covered that day. They help each other out. They share study methods. This is where primarily a lot of sort of the general talk about the class happens. C, we also have off-topic discussions. Students here, they could just talk about college life. They could, right here we see someone shared an event among cognitive science seniors. It's a great place for students to sort of promote the organizations they are a part of. Here. I don't know, Chris. See, I have nearly 400 members. Because I have nearly 400 students, and I don't know if Christine could offer some insight on what things are like when they're in a smaller sort of class.
Yeah, so in a smaller class context, the way that I tend to integrate Discord is a little bit different. We do have kind of similar like general chat, but I also break it down into weekly chats for the different things that we'll be talking about each week. And it's a little bit more, I guess, laid back, because we can do things like find YouTube videos or conversations online or tweets that are relevant to the course discussion and kind of bring in this supplemental material. I like to have the students have a little bit of an opportunity to go back and forth on different theoretical applications that we've talked about. So a lot of similarities, but some difference, probably also in that there's a little bit less traffic. So it's probably less overwhelming when compared to a class of 400 where you're getting constant conversation between people.
I found that I received fewer emails from students because a lot of the questions are answered on this Discord. I don't know if you see the same sort of change.
Yeah, it's really nice, and it also allows students to take over some of the back and forth with questions and answers, and it's sort of interesting to see that dynamic because you don't get a lot of that when you're relying on email. But that's been a really interesting development with Discord, is the students kind of helping each other out and directing each other to different places that they can get information they're asking about.
Oh, definitely. I found that students really take pride in sharing what they've learned. And especially, I see it a lot on this Discord where we have students, a quiz would be coming up and the student would pop on and say, hey, I took the practice quiz and I got 100%. I really understand this material. If anyone needs help, I'm here for you. And students, I think they gain a certain amount of clout within the Discord and a reputation that I think they take a lot of pride in. So along with this general chat and this off-topic chat, we also have a channel I call Serotonin, and it's just a channel to lift students up. And really, it's just a channel where students share pictures of their cats and dogs and comment. So I also have another channel for students to socialize. As I mentioned, my hope with Discord is to simulate that sort of college experience, right? That so many students just miss out on throughout this sort of remote learning period. And so I have a space for students to socialize. I also have a place for students to vent. Just get it all out of their system. This particular channel gets a lot of activity leading up to quizzes and after quizzes. But you have to let students speak. And as an instructor, sometimes it is painful to read. I don't know if you have something like this, Christine, or you experienced something like this. Sometimes it's painful to read, but you need to remind yourself that they're saying it anyway, whether or not you're reading it, right? And sometimes reading it can give you a little bit of insight on what students are going through. I think this Discord in general does a good job in kind of giving you an idea of the college student condition, what they go through. And it's a lot more than what's going on in your class. It's real life. Students are going through, their own personal battles, struggles outside of school. And so I have this, it's called Faces of Pain, and also a channel for discussing the quiz, the practice quiz. Here, this one student made a pretty long post, and thorough explanation and some material that's coming up. And also homework discussions. And I find that because Discord is an app, students get notifications on their phone, that Discord is a great way to get information out to a lot of people quickly, right? Because if you send out an email to students, some students don't check their email. Some students don't even have notifications set for their UCI email to come to their phone. Here, you can just post something, they would get a notification that someone posted on the Discord, and they would be able to check it out. So I like to post homework reminders here along with the Canvas course page. I don't know, do you use this Discord a lot to share info, Christine?
Yeah, so I kind of do both. And I did see in the chat, there was a question, I think, about whether or not we make this required. Yeah, Kelsey, I think asked. For me, it is optional. So I've got things set up for students that like the more traditional format where things are going through UCI's email and going through Canvas. But I also do things in the Discord to make sure that everyone is aware of what's going on. But it's a really good point about the notifications, because for a lot of students, they're probably already using Discord as a regular part of their everyday life. And so they're a little bit more in tune to it. They're more likely to be checking it kind of constantly, especially in comparison to their emails. So it is a really good way to make sure that students are getting information in a timely manner.
Yeah, I found that it's really helped humanize me to students, right? Because Discord is so informal, right? It feels like we're just kind of communicating as people more than our roles as instructors and students. So I know I have like a ton of channels here, but there are a few more. We look at some voice channels. So students can connect and just instead of typing, they can just speak into their microphone. And we have some study tables set up. And these voice channels are limited to just 5 students per room. So they can go in there, they can study together, and then if you go onto the Discord, you could just pop in and check in on some of them or message them and say, hey, how's everything going? Do I need to go in there? Does anyone need any help? So we also have a gaming channel, a little of a break, sort of like a morale builder, where you could play online games with students, kind of like the intended use of Discord. Also, last slide, private messages. So here's like a private message between me and a TA of mine. It's just a great way to get organized with your TAs or large tutors Also, students use this a lot. They message for questions they don't quite want to put out there onto the Discord. And sometimes I would request that they send me an email rather than resolving the issue, just so there could be more permanent record of it here. And so, yeah, that's sort of just like a quick run through of what I've been doing for the past year and 1/4. All right, yeah, I don't know, Christine, do you have anything to add?
I don't think specifically off of that, but we had some questions in the chat. I'm not sure if I should be hopping on those.
No,
or...
go ahead, Christine, please.
So there's an interesting question about how do you handle students that don't use Discord and aren't interested in it, and whether or not those students might feel left out. Do you have any thoughts on that, Jonathan?
You know, I haven't heard from any student. That doesn't mean that there aren't any, but I haven't heard from any student that, oh, I don't want to go on Discord. I haven't heard that, but any information that I share on Discord, I also post on like a Canvas or send out via email. And yeah, and I still answer questions via email, and those students, I try to be as responsive as possible when I get that. I don't know if you've encountered that, Christine.
So for me, I really haven't noticed anyone complaining about the use of Discord or specifically saying that they didn't want to participate. I know that not all of my students do join the Discord. I don't know if it's just kind of they want more of a barrier between their class and personal life, and Discord is more of their personal life, so they don't want to have that overlap. But I think that, there's maybe some hesitation on the part of some students, but it doesn't make too much of a difference in their experience, is what I would say.
Right there.
Kelsey asked another good question about differences in performance. Have either of you done any analysis on that one? You can see Kelsey's full question in the chat.
I haven't. It's because some students use kind of creative handles. I don't really, I'm still getting to know, who's behind that handle. So it's really hard to gauge, but I would say that those who are very active in the chat room or in this Discord, I find that when I go onto my lectures, and so I teach my lectures asynchronously. So I teach at the time that my lecture starts. Some students can show up or they can watch the video later. I find that those students are really active on the Discord are the students that show up, and not only show up, but also have their cams on. And I don't know if that's what you've experienced, Kristen.
Yeah, I would say it's pretty similar. There's some level of anonymity. If you really wanted to, you could have the students change their nickname to their actual name if you wanted to track participation. For me, I don't really, because I don't make it a required part of the class. But if I had to guess, I would say that the students who are most active on Discord are the students who are going to be the most engaged in the course anyway. And so you would probably see that trend, but I think it's less related to Discord and more related to the personalities and interests of the students.
Right. So do you plan on using this Discord when we return in person?
I think for me, I probably will, because it's been very interesting to have the supplemental pieces of information that we can discuss. It sort of extends the course content in ways that are a little bit more fun for the students, I think, which is nice to reinforce the information that way too. So I think that I'll keep using it, especially because I don't expect that the students will stop making Discords once we go back to in-person teaching. So that's something to think about as well.
Yeah, likewise, I think this is going to be implemented, refined as when we return in person. I'm going to continue using this. And it's really just about, for me at least, creating a class culture, right? And rather than just some appointment you got to go to and listen and learn a couple times a week, to give your class an identity outside of the material that you're teaching.
There's a question here about Discord and sort of being used for academic dishonesty purposes. Do either of you want to kind of tackle that one?
Christine, do you want to?
Yeah, I'm going to take a look at the exact phrasing of the question. That is probably happening. I have had that happen with students. So if you have students who are collaborating in ways that are not appropriate for the class or would fall under academic dishonesty, unfortunately, there isn't a lot that can be done about it unless you somehow get information from the Discord. I had a student come to me and say that quizzes were being shared on a private Discord that was made by students. And so that was how I was alerted to that circumstance. But there's not really a way to search for Discord servers unless you can see what students are posting elsewhere and that they have a Discord set up. It brings up a lot of unique questions and circumstances around academic dishonesty that I don't think have really been broached by policy yet. So that's something where we need to kind of catch up with the technology and what it's affording to students.
Yeah, I lock down my Discord on days where we have a quiz, and I lock it down for a couple of days where students can't communicate in the main channels. Of course, that doesn't stop students from sending each other DMs. So my thoughts on it is students are going to make Discords, whether or not you're aware of it. There might be just one for your class right now. And that all I really have control over is my Discord and putting enough value into it to keep students from making their own. And so I look for other ways to prevent academic dishonesty in the way I design my quizzes, for example, the time frame in which students can take quizzes or exams, and randomizing homework data sets for students, so they can't just copy off each other. Although the questions are the same, they all have different data sets. And I think that I'm going to continue looking for ways to maintain the academic integrity of my course, but there's simply no way to stop students. You could only control so much, and I try to find comfort in that.
So Daphne asked a question earlier about that Discord seems to look a lot like Slack, another app that many of us are familiar with. Would you say that they are somewhat similar, or how is Discord maybe different from Slack?
I have only used Slack briefly for a couple months, maybe like 2 years ago. I think, well, Slack is more for like sharing code, right? Like programmers web developers use Slack. And I think that there's just a larger audience amongst college students with Discord than there is with Slack. And I think it's just kind of going where the students are going. That's how I kind of see it. And of course, you could set something like like a chat or a discussion forum on Canvas. You could set something like that up, but then students would have to log into Canvas on their phone, do that dual authentication just to get to the chat room. It's not quite as immediate as Discord, I find.
Yeah, I mean, you compare. There's no comparison between the Canvas discussion forum and Discord, right? Canvas is like your grandfather's discussion board, right? Well, what about what advice would you have, or what would you tell a faculty member who's like, yeah, I can see this, but oh, it's one more place for me to look and another password I have to remember, and one more piece of technology they have to embrace, and there's already a lot of overhead right now in this current era of teaching remotely. What advice would either of you give to a faculty member who sees the value but isn't quite ready to kind of make that switch?
Christine, you want to take this one?
Sure. I mean, it is a complicated question, and it is something additional that you would have to log into and set up and maintain. I think it depends a lot on the course and the instructor and how much you want to have this kind of extra element to your course. One of the things that we kind of brought up is the community building that can be done with Discord. And I think that that's a really great addition for a class, that you can reach out to the students and give them this space that feels a little bit more comfortable to explore different topics in class, to get to know each other, to kind of bond in ways that aren't necessarily available on Canvas and probably aren't even necessarily available in a classroom. So if you're interested in doing something like that and giving the students this extra space to work through problems, connect with each other, for you to connect with them on a little bit more of an interpersonal level, I think it's worth the extra steps. But there are always benefits and drawbacks to any kind of technology that you'll be bringing into your class.
Yeah, I think it's if you are interested in setting one up for your course, as I mentioned, you really need to bring value to it. You really need to make it the Discord for the class, right? If you set one up, you're not quite active, you're just kind of overseeing it. Students might start their own Discord. They would kind of wonder, well, what's the point of this one? But at the same time, it is sort of stressful in keeping one going and being an active member on one. There are a lot of things like, of course, there are those students that kind of put off studying for a quiz, let's say, right? Or put off doing homework, and you kind of witness their sort of, scrambling to prepare. And I don't know, personally, that kind of brings a lot of stress to me. And I kind of wanted to say, hey, let's kind of work through the material one day at a time. Don't put off the work. But again, this stuff is going on. It's going on, whether or not you want to see it. And I think for me personally, I want to see it. Right? I want to see what's going on. I want to know how students are receiving my course, and having this sort of informal Discord. And in a way, one of the things I was concerned about was the anonymity part. I was concerned about, hey, are students going to keep it respectful of one another? And I found that, yeah, they really do. There's no sort of Discord drama among students. And it's been a really nice community. But yeah, again, you really just need to, be checking in on this Discord. I check my Discord probably like every 20 minutes, every 10 or 20 minutes. I can't get the notifications on my phone because it brings me a little too much anxiety to see it pop up. I'd much rather check it on my own terms. And I find myself on there, every 10, 20 minutes, basically any downtime, just kind of just check it out.
It's not exactly an advertisement. John.
Yeah, maybe you should. Can we edit the video? Can we cut that out?
But you also said to me in an earlier conversation that you learned a lot more about what your students are going through during COVID. Can you share a little bit about that?
Yeah, I think as an instructor, especially for like a very large course, I found that I have actually learned a lot more about students on the Discord than I have in person. In person, I would learn a couple students' names, kind of, I know what they look like, kind of what they're interested in, what their goals are. But with this Discord, I feel like I've met a whole lot more students just through this Discord. Because as I mentioned, students that are really active in the Discord, when in lecture, they have their cams on, and they're talking about their week. They talk about their week on the Discord. They talk about the sort of personal struggles, especially due to the pandemic and what they're going through. And I rarely see those sort of struggles when class is in person. You don't really, you kind of lose sight of like that life outside your class. And I think it's really changed the way I've approached teaching this, and sort of in trying to further humanize the learning experience.
Christine, would you say that's been true also? Your courses are considerably smaller than Jonathan's, so do you find that the community building is maybe even more intense than what Jonathan might see, or how is it? How does that play out, the whole community building and engagement and the humanization of the classroom play out for your courses?
Yeah, I'd say that that's pretty similar. One of the things that's kind of an interesting dynamic is that you're stepping into some different norms. And so now you're working, as Jonathan, I think, said earlier, kind of in students' own spaces with the norms that they've developed. And they're a lot less likely to share kind of personal struggles or personal stories, or like even relating course content to personal things sometimes, especially with the courses that I teach. I think that Discord allows that to be a little bit more open, in part because of the relative anonymity that comes along with it, but also just this is supposed to be a space where people are connecting with one another. And so it does make it a little bit closer and a little bit more friendly than if you just have discussions going on Canvas, or you're just working with emails, or just sort of going through students' assignments.
And I think one of you mentioned in our preparation for today that you're actually inserting content into the Discord stream. So it wasn't just that you were always in this position of reacting to what students were saying, but you were actually pushing out some content. Can you maybe share a little bit about that?
Yeah, so,
sorry, go ahead, Christine.
I was just going to say, I'll go through and collect things online, like Reddit conversations that seem relevant, and post them and sort of get student reactions. But I also use the streaming function on Discord. So it's a little bit different with my classes, but we've used it to watch YouTube videos together, for me to stream video games for them to comment on, and sort of through the process of showing them these external examples or pieces of information, we have a conversation about it, and do that during voice chat. So that makes it, it gives it an element of a Zoom meeting, but you still have that more informal, a little bit more comfortable space where students can share their.
Yeah, I use the a channel just for a lesson diary. Whenever I find articles online relating to statistics, I would post that in the channel. Opportunities for students, like research opportunities, I would share links if you know, if there's a lab that are looking for subjects, I would share that, just to try to get students more involved on campus overall. Was there a question earlier?
Cameron, did you have a question?
I didn't know if you were at all involved with there's a seismic project. UCI is part of an association with 10 other universities, and there's a project that they're working on for like back channels and whether or not back channels work in classes. And I just didn't know if you were involved in that or would like more information about that collaboration, working on back channels and improving undergraduate STEM education and STEM adjacent.
Yeah, I'm not personally familiar with that. Are you, Christine?
No, not familiar either, but curious, interested in more information.
I'll put it in the chat, and our campus is one of 10 campuses on this, so it's a really nice collaboration where our people are working on these back channel projects.
So for a faculty member who's maybe willing to create a Discord server, but they don't want to commit the level of time that it looks like the two of you have, but maybe they've asked their TAs to be active. Are there any downsides with that method? Do you think that that would be equally engaging for students, or do you think the faculty presence is really essential to making it all that it can be?
Christine, do you want to?
Sure. Yeah, I think for the most part, I think that there's a major benefit to being present yourself. Letting the students know that you're available, you're interacting with them, you're interested and engaged with them as students, I think enhances their ability to feel engaged with you and the course content. And I think that that would, you know, improve outcomes for students. So that's something to definitely keep in mind and consider. It's possible that TAs could take on some role, but I don't think that it would be as effective as having the faculty member or the instructor more engaged with it.
Yeah, I agree with that. And also, you don't want to put too much workload on your TAs in doing that. But I think it also depends on what course you're teaching too, and what you hope to achieve with the Discord. You know, if it's just setting one up, having your TAs run it, just because you hope that they don't set up one without you knowing, I don't think students will be that engaged in that Discord. I know when the quarter started in the fall, when the series started in the fall, and I had a Discord and I shared it. students were really excited. They're like, whoa, he knows Discord. He has a Discord set up. And students, yeah, got really excited about joining. And so I think, I've mentioned this before, that it's just a way, and especially in teaching statistics, just another way to humanize myself to students, right? And become just more approachable.
Yeah, I think that definitely comes through in your Discord, for sure. Feels like you're right there and struggling in the trenches with them. Well, maybe you're not struggling, but you're in the trenches with them.
Oh, I basically live on Discord when I'm not teaching. So.
Well, it's a common these days to end the webinars 10 minutes before the hour to allow people a little bit of a break. But if there are any lingering questions, now would be the time to throw them out. Well, on that note, I'd like to thank all of you for coming today and just talking to us about something that's probably not that widely known on the campus community. And hats off to the two of you for looking for new ways to engage students and to, like you said, humanize your classroom. And I think that's so important in this era. So really appreciate not only you coming today and sharing this with us, but the work that you're doing with your students in that back channel to keep them motivated and keep them supported in some pretty challenging classes. So I think that is not gone unnoticed by your students, and I suspect it's reflected in your evals too.
Thanks for having us, Janet.
Yeah, thank you so much.
All right. Thanks, everyone. This is being recorded, so if you know of colleagues who wanted to make it, let me know. The link will be on the social science website, usually in 3, 4, 5 days. All right. Thanks, everyone.